Welcome to Time We Create, a podcast where I share behind the scenes of starting and growing my creative business, but at the same time trying to juggle everything else in my life, like my hobbies, sports, and also being a mom, and how to stay creative in all that chaos. Today, I have a wonderful guest, Ellen, the founder of God Stay Creative, who helps businesses with their online presence, would be through offering a website design and maintenance or branding, and she shares really great tips on her social media. So definitely have a look if you would like to see some actionable tips. Hi, Ellen. Thank you so much for coming as a guest to the podcast. Welcome. Welcome
Hi,
here.
thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be good.
Thank you so much. I'm really interested in our conversation today because I would love to learn some myths that we are going to discuss. Hopefully, we will bust some very common myths, but I also would like to know a bit more about the backstage of the business as well, because I know that you run your business, having a little one with you. And how do you structure your day? How do you keep creative with your creative business? Something similar that I do in terms of having a creative business. And yeah, all the tips are really interesting to me as well.
Yeah, it's been hard, especially like he's 3 now, so he's at nursery. So it's a lot easier because he's not here during the day. But yeah, he doesn't go to nursery like in school holidays. So like trying to navigate that as a family has been a challenge. But I think just making sure that sort of the time that you do have is just really well planned, so you know exactly what you want to do in that time. Has really helped me. Like I use an app called Airtable, which is like Asana and Trello, to sort of put down like everything that I need to do. And so when I know I have like 3 hours of like work time, it's amazing how much you can get done in 3 hours when you know you don't have any longer.
Yeah, you have to do as many of productive things as you possibly can in just a short period of time.
Yeah.
Mhm. Um, Thank you so much again for coming to the podcast. And can you please share a bit more about what is web and SEO agency that you are running, and why did you start it and what you do?
Yeah, so there's me, and I also have a branding person that I work with as well in the business. So our mission and why we really set up the business is to make sure that we provide a really high quality service to our clients, but not at arm and leg prices. You know, we really wanted to make sure that it was affordable, especially nowadays. And what we found from our own experiences working in different agencies was that, you know, to get the really good high quality service and high quality product that you want, you have to pay so much for it. And it's like, well, that's not fair. Like why should, you know, especially small businesses and businesses that are just starting out, pay, you know, so much for a website when we don't feel it's needed. So yeah, our whole reason for setting up the business was to be able to provide that sort of high quality service to our clients at affordable prices, and that's something that we're really passionate and dedicated about, especially after things that we've seen in like the industry. So yeah, we're really excited for that. And yeah, so we do branding, and we do website building. We also do sort of website templates as well, that are sort of a bit more lower cost. Because, you know, especially when you're setting up, there's so many other costs involved in setting up a business, right? That like adding on like a £3,000 website on top of that is just like, for some, it's they can't. It's just not not good at all. So we sort of came up with the template idea that we have templates designed specifically for different niches, that you can then sort of completely customize with your own colors, fonts, and things like that. But you know, they're a lot cheaper, which, you know, sure, when you're first setting up a business is exactly what you need. So yeah, it kind of fits in with that ethos quite nicely.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Do you work with specific niche in businesses, or do you provide different types of websites for different businesses?
Yeah, so I tried to go niche, and I didn't like it. I found it really boring.
Mhm.
um, Especially you probably know as well, like just doing the same thing for the same sort of niche every day, it gets a bit monotonous. So
Yes.
yeah, we work with just small businesses now. We
Mhm.
like the variety of working with different industries and different people. So yeah, it's a good variety.
Yeah, no, it's always good to have a little bit of a challenge,
Yeah.
especially when you learn about a new business. It's like it's exciting and it's a bit challenging because you don't know it, but it's yeah, it's something that makes our brain to be more creative, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, I love it.
I was wondering, so you mentioned that you work with small businesses. Do you think that every business needs a website, or there are some businesses that don't? Like, who needs and who doesn't need web page?
Yeah, so I definitely am a firm believer that all businesses should have a website, but then all businesses should also have social media. I think they both work hand in hand. I don't think, you should prioritize one over the other. And I think, especially when I think it was a couple of weeks ago when Instagram and Facebook decided to just completely shut down and everyone was having a crisis because no one could get on anything. Like it really showed the importance of having a website and having an email list that you can grow on your website as well. So I think yes, it's important to have a website, especially as it can showcase what you do. And give more information about you and more information about your services, but also you're not relying and you're not putting all your eggs in one basket because if one of them fails, at least you have a backup.
Yeah, that's definitely true because we are not in control of the social media. They can shut down or get banned um, just at no at no time, at no um, notice. And with website, we kind of have more control. Of course, there are some technical nuances, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's still our website.
Yeah.
And also, like I feel that when a business has a website, it's more trustworthy, I would say, a bit more reliable. Because when you see that, okay, they have a website, so they put a thought into it, and mm, yeah, they're kind of more. I don't want to say more serious because when you start a business, you are serious. But yeah, it feels a bit more professional, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when people look at social media and then they sort of expect there to be a link to a website and there's not, it's a bit like, well, is it a scam? Like, I think there's definitely that, especially like, there are so many out there that have just like an Instagram shop and they don't have a website and everyone's a bit like, is this okay? Like, are you sure? So I think having a website and showing that you are an actual person definitely helps with that. And I think, both the website and social media they're both such powerful marketing tools. I definitely think they both have a place in business.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. But for me, also, social media is where you see that the business is active because you see that they are posting something. And they don't need to post like very often, but when I see that there is some activity, I know that they are active, they are working, and I can ask them for service. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And so when you start your conversation with a small business about their website, what are the things you are learning from them to start the design, and what do you usually ensure that the website has? So to ensure that the website is good for their business, that it's working for their business.
Yes, I think it's really important to know what your goal is, as that sort of affects how we showcase things on your website. So it's really important to have a goal in place of what you want to achieve on your website. If your goal is to achieve people signing up to your newsletter, then we want to make sure that that stands out. If it's actually that you want to showcase your products and you have featured products and things like that, then again, we want that to stand out. So I think it's really important to set yourself a goal and what you want to achieve on your website and not just have a website because it's a box ticking exercise that you know that you need. It's, as I said, it's a really powerful marketing tool, and I think it's really important to have a goal and how you're going to use it. Otherwise, it is just going to be stagnant. It is just going to sit there, and it's not going to do anything for you. You want your website, especially when you're paying money for one, you want your website to work for you and to do what you want it to do, whether that's selling or building your email list or whatever it is. You want it to do the thing. So I think that's really important. And then things to look at is, making sure that your messaging is really clear. It's not confusing for your audience. You'll have call to actions throughout your website, which is super important to have, and also that your website is mobile optimized. And I still say this now, even in 2024, because the amount of websites I see, on a mobile that I'm just like, what is that? Like it's amazing how many websites just aren't mobile optimized even nowadays. And they're like, oh yeah, I did my website like 3 years ago. I'm like, why wasn't it mobile optimized? Like mobiles were a thing 3 years ago. Like why did that just not happen? Like yeah, it's incredible how many aren't mobile optimized. So don't forget it.
Well, it's honestly very important because I think I browse most of the website on my phone because I'm usually somewhere on the go, and when I need to check something or when I have an idea, I'm usually not sitting in front of my computer. I'm somewhere on the playground with my daughter or on the way somewhere, and I just check the website. And if I can't find something very quickly, um, I I might easily forget about it when I get home to the proper big desktop.
Yeah, exactly. And like, a lot of people are like, well, if people really want to book with me, they would just go onto their desktop. And I say there's so much love, but they're not. People aren't going to go, oh, do you know what? I really want to book in this person, but their website is rubbish on a mobile. I'm going to wait till I get home and look on my computer. Like, they're not going to do that. And it's really awful to say it. And I hate saying it, but it's true. Like, if people can't find the information then and there, they're just going to look for someone who can provide that information then and there. So you really need to make sure that your website lives up to what it needs to do, especially in this day and age when people want information now and are not prepared to wait.
The signs of a good website is that the messaging is clear and it definitely should be mobile optimized because so many people are browsing on mobile phone.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you. Thank you for those tips. I think it's definitely something to check for everyone. And I would like to learn a bit more about SEO. So I know that we all try to do to work on our website so that they appear on Google as soon as someone searches our niche, like our service. But of course, it's not always happening. And how does SEO related to that? And can you explain a bit more? Like, what is SEO? How does it work? And hopefully some myths that are going around, and you could say which are myths and which are not.
Yeah, so SEO is search engine optimization. So it's making sure your website gets seen by Google. And I have some things that I will say that was very controversial, and a lot of you will go, "What? I spent 2 hours yesterday doing that. What do you mean I shouldn't?" Like, um, yeah. So the whole point of SEO is to make sure that Google can see your website and that Google knows that you know your shit. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole point of SEO is to get seen by Google, and also so Google knows your shit. If Google knows that you know what you're talking about, then you're going to get seen more for those keywords that people then input into Google. So say your whole website is about frogs, and you blog about frogs and you talk about the frogs, and then when someone types in information on frogs or type of frog, then your website will then get seen because Google knows that you know your shit about frogs because you talk about them all through your website and into your blogging as well. So the one thing that I say to people when people say to me, what can I do for my SEO, especially if you're on a WordPress website, don't worry about your traffic lights. So the traffic lights are what you have on things like Yoast or Rank Math or any of those platforms. And I say this, and it is a controversial point because I get a lot of people say to me, but I spent 3 hours yesterday making sure all my traffic lights were green. That's great, but it probably isn't going to help. Like, it will help a little bit, but as long as they're not all red, I really wouldn't worry about them because at the end of the day, those traffic light systems are an algorithm. And you are definitely smarter than that algorithm. Like, you know what works, you know what your topics are about. So as long as you're confident in what you're writing about and that your pages and your blogs have those keywords that you wanted to make sure that those pages and blogs have, you're going to be okay. You do not need to spend hours on your traffic light system. Like, please don't get too caught up in that because that's the one thing that people always do. And I have, I always get messages from people being like, my traffic lights aren't green. Can you help with that? No, because that's not going to help you, and it will be a waste of your money for me to go in and make sure all of your traffic lights are green. It's not worth it. And then the next point is, what can you do best for your SEO? And that is blogging. And I know people will go, oh no, not blogging. I hate blogging. I'm with you on that. I feel your pain. But blogging is the best thing you can do for your SEO, because it shows Google that you know what you're talking about, especially when you're putting up blogs and you're making sure that your keywords. So keywords are really important, because it knows, because then that's what Google then will trail and will index. So, a keyword could be like fitness, but then you want to kind of niche that down. So you could do like postnatal fitness, or sports fitness, or we just had the marathon, so like pre and post marathon fitness, and making sure you get back to your fitness level, and making sure that you recover quicker. So it's those sorts of things that you need to think about when you're writing your blogs. Don't just write your blogs for the sake of writing. It really needs to have a point, and you need to really think about what you want Google to get out of that blog, as well as other people, of course.
Mm-hmm. By blogs, do you mean that just text blogs, or videos, or maybe reposts from social media, or it's better to focus on good blogs as a text?
Yeah, so for your website and for Google, you definitely want those to be text. Google can't read images or anything like that. So that's when your alt text for your images. So when you put an image on your website and you have a description underneath your image of what that image is about, that's what Google actually reads. They don't look at the pictures, they can't. So yeah, it's definitely better to have a text um, a text blog. Sorry, it's better to have a text blog than loads of images and videos in them as well. One of the other points as well about your blogs is that Google is getting very good at realizing which are written by AI and which are not written by AI. Yes, AI is a really, really powerful tool, and it can work wonders. And it's really good to help you come up with ideas for your blogs. Just don't let AI write your blogs. It's definitely at the moment about quality over quantity. If you only write one blog a month, that's great. You've done a blog. Like, don't panic that you've only written one a month. You don't want to churn out loads and loads from Google, because Google will pick it up and they won't like it. So you want to make sure that you're focused on quality over quantity. By all means, use AI to come up with ideas, or even to sort of map out like the skeleton of your blog, but just make sure then you're writing your blog, because then it's more human and people will know you more as well. But yeah, I definitely think AI has a place, but not writing your blogs.
Yeah, I think I definitely notice when the written text doesn't sound like a person. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, especially when it's too polished, when it doesn't have character, when it's just beautiful words here and there, and yeah, you definitely know it's not human written. And while it can be beautifully written, um, there's nothing to connect with really. And also, it's hard in SEO.
Yeah, exactly. Or how your SEO, you'll piss off Google because they won't like it, and it's got no personality. And you can see which blogs and which texts are written by an AI really quickly, because most of the AI blogs, I've tested it a lot on AI, is you'll have a really powerful heading, and you have an introduction, and you'll have like some bullet points, or some longer bullet points that don't look like bullet points but are like mini headers, and then you have a conclusion. Like, they're really the same in how they all lay them out as well. So yeah, you can kind of tell as well, which is a shame, because people will buy from you. People buy from people. It's that know, like, trust. Then, and if your blogs and your social media and your website don't sound like you, then people aren't going to be able to connect with you, and then they're not going to buy. So it's really important to have that human connection as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. Okay.
And then
Did you have any more SEO myth?
yeah, and I think yeah, I do. I just have one more. Well, it kind of ties into the other one, but I'll start again. And then this sort of ties in really nicely with the last mythbuster, because as a business owner, you will get so many messages and emails from people being like, I can get you number one on Google. They're lying. They cannot. No one can guarantee you any results on Google. And it's just all about that grit and hard work and making sure that, you know, what you're putting out there is really good quality. You know your shit, and Google knows that you know your shit. And also having sort of that, you know, whilst and when you have a website for a long time as well, you build up that authority on Google as well, because you've been around for a while. So it's a combination of all these things that will really get you up there. But yeah, people telling you that they can get you number one on Google, they can't. No one can guarantee anything, right? So just be really wary, because actually 9 out of 10 times it will just hurt your SEO, and it will hurt your Google rankings more than it will help it as well.
Okay, can you actually make something bad to your Google ranking? Like, can you become like shadowed on Google or something like that?
Yes, you can get shadow banned on Google, but again, it's just making sure that what you're putting out there is, again, quality over quantity. You're not spamming your blogs with loads of AI written blogs. You know, you're really sort of taking the time and realizing what blogs you want to do, what keywords you want to put out there, what you want to educate your people and your clients and your followers on as well. So yeah, it's just making sure that what you're doing is authentically you, really, and sort of not trying to put too much out there.
Yeah, great. All great advice. So to recap on the SEO on this is, first of all, um, don't worry about your traffic lights, because as long as you know what you're talking about, as you are passionate about what you're talking about, um, Google will make sure it shows your website. The second one is, don't let AI run your website, and definitely use it for ideas, for maybe for structuring something, but definitely write your own text, and because this is how you show your expertise. This is how people connect with you as a person, because um, it's one of the most important, especially for small businesses. And yeah, don't trust those people who promise you to rank your business number one in SEO search, in Google search, because there are so many things that go into it, and you can't predict it. Like, you can't be 100% sure twice and miss. Thank you for those tips, for those thoughts. I hope they are. This is a good food for thought for small businesses. And yeah, thank you so much. I was wondering if we could go a bit on the behind the scenes of your business. And can you please share a bit more about how do you plan things? How do you run your business? And actually, how did you start?
Yes, so I started in business just before good old COVID hit. So 2019, I was working in the city, and I got severe burnout. I was working sort of 12-hour days, and I was working as an executive assistant for a company. So I was managing all their calendars, all their emails. And it was just randomly on the train on my way to work one day that I came across virtual assistant. And I was like, what is this? I'm just looking for a new job. Like, I don't want to do this. But then, you know, when something just gets stuck in your brain and you just can't stop thinking about it. So I was like, this is interesting. So I like went down a really deep, dark rabbit hole in virtual assistant. And I was like, yeah, actually, maybe I could give this a go. Maybe, you know, I can give it a go, see what happens. And it was actually whilst I was setting up my VA business, and finding clients, that I realized that actually everyone wants tech. No one really wants the traditional sort of PA services, in sort of the clients that I was looking after. So that sort of made me sort of think more along the tech lines. And I set up my own website when I first started my business, and I really enjoyed it. And so then when COVID hit, I was like, do you know what? This is actually the perfect opportunity and time to learn about more about web design. So I took so many courses that I think I just sort of like burnt my brain and trying to learn everything. And
Yeah,
that's when
I
it
think it's
really,
really too much.
yeah,
The time, because you are not allowed to leave home. So yeah, I think it's the like the best thing you could actually do is just to
yeah,
learn something
exactly. It was just like,
more.
yeah, exactly. I think it was just the right time. So I learned as much as I could about web design and then set up my own web design company. And so I've been doing it ever since then, really, and I absolutely love it. I love having a blank screen and then bringing something together. Um, yeah, I think yeah, I love it. I just, yeah.
How did you get your first line?
I think it was a word of mouth one. I did a lot of networking and going to Facebook groups and starting to having to love social media because I did not. um, and yeah, I think it was just someone that has seen something on, I think, either a Facebook group and then sort of recommended me to someone else, even though they'd never worked with me, which is a strange one. But yeah, it's amazing how many people will recommend you, even if they don't work with you or have never worked with you. And I think you just can't beat word of mouth. I think it's such a powerful tool. So yeah, that was definitely a good one.
And I think it really ties back with being yourself in your website and your social media, because this is how people know about your work ethic, the values you stand for, and this is how they may want to recommend you as well as a professional, even though they may not work with you, but they may recommend to someone else.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, as long as you're yourself with every person that you interact with in your, but like whilst you're acting as your business, then you never know what you're going to get from it. Just because they're not going to work from you, you might have left such a good impression that then they recommend you to someone when they know someone else needs the work that you do as well. So yeah, never
Mhm.
never underestimate the power of that.
How do you plan your day? So I know that so you previously mentioned that you put everything in different tools to know what you need to do. How do you like? Was it always like that, or did you experiment with different productivity things, with different like how do you make sure that you do everything that you need, but you hopefully don't feel burnt out, hopefully still energetic, and hopefully still have time for yourself as well.
Yeah, so I definitely sort of played around with different productivity things. But I think now, I'm always on the go. I'm always out with my son. Um, I definitely think I found a good balance in that. The app that I use, Airtable, it has a mobile app as well. So anytime I think about something or I'm like, oh, I need to do that, like I need to write it down, I just shove it on there. So it's there ready for me and then it all syncs together. But yes, I plan my days loosely. I try not to hold myself to accountable if I don't get everything done. So one day I might be like, well, I need to get a good chunk of like this client's work done. And if I get that done, then it's a good day. But then, there are some days where I won't do any client work and it'll mainly be, working on my own business, which, as a business owner, it's really tricky to get that balance of working on your business and in your business. So I tend to sort of carve out hours on the weekend where I then work on my own business stuff. I love working on my business. I love, trying to work out social media and doing social media and things like that. So that's when I do my own business because, I'm not going to do client work on the weekend because they're not going to want emails from me at like 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning when I'm there working. And, my husband then will take my son out so I can just get on with it. So, yeah, I try and spend a couple of hours on the weekend doing stuff for me. And then the week is normally client stuff, which I think for me is a good mix. Not everyone wants to work weekends, and that's okay. If you want to carve out like a Monday, Tuesday to work on your business, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or even Wednesday, Thursday is, client work, then I think you just have to sort of play around and see what works for you and not feel guilty for not doing something. I don't work Fridays because I have that day of my son, and that's really important to me. But I don't have to feel guilty about that because that's the whole reason we got into business, was to be able to have sort of the time to do what we want to do when we want to do it. And I think that's really important. But I love what I do, so yeah, I am a bit of a workaholic, and I think if I could, I would work 12 hours a day because yeah, I just love it, and yeah, I'm always thinking about stuff.
I have to stop myself from work because I can think about it all day, even at night. Sometimes I have
Yeah.
dreams about what I need to do, what I want to do, and yeah, it's. But as you mentioned, it's so good that even though there is never-ending list of the things to do, you still get the flexibility, the chance to spend time with little ones while they're little,
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, work our way around different schedules. Definitely good. Thank you, Ellen, so much for sharing your expertise today here. Thank you for busting those myths and giving some practical tips for small businesses to look out for when it comes to their website. I will leave your links and the way to contact you in the show notes or video description below. So if there's something of interest to you, to the listeners, to the viewers of the podcast, definitely check it out. Yeah, thank you, Helen, so much for being a guest today, for sharing your expertise. And yeah, I really enjoyed our chat. It's something I think is very important for like, all the small business and big business, but especially small, to be present online, to yeah, to be authentic, to yeah, just to be themselves and help people because this is how we started. Like, we want to provide a service, a good service, and we want other people to know what we have tried.
Oh, no, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think just be yourself and enjoy the crazy ride that it is.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.